Hi, this is John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Top 5 Comics Podcast.
Welcome to Top 5 Comics Podcast, people talking about comics, pop culture, and events. Today we're doing our Halloween special. Our panel today, we have that guy with the William Shatner spray-painted mask, Mike.
It rubs the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
We also have that guy that got the Michael Myers mask for Austin Powers because he didn't know what kind of party he was going to, Craig.
Yeah, baby!
We have that kid in the back of the room with the sucker wearing the potato sack mask on his face, with Ross.
Sweet. I don't think he actually says anything ever, though, so... It just kills, that's all.
He makes noises with his mouth.
He just kills.
Which is awesome. And the guy lurking in the back in the woods with the hockey mask with Steve. See, I got the same problem. It's like you and me are not supposed to talk, but yet it's not. So I get a cool theme song, which is awesome.
It's true.
The best part. Right, welcome to Top 5 Comics Podcast. Today we're doing more of a Halloween-themed episode. We're looking to nail down top 5 Halloween comic movies, and then the top 5 Halloween movies that happened during Halloween. So 2 different sets of movies. Scary movies, and then movies that actually happened during Halloween. That's the attempt for this episode today.
Can there be movies on both lists?
There can be. I mean, I don't know why it couldn't cross-pollinate. Okay. So yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't see why not. We're not really going to do a news section this time around, because, I mean, as far as news or whatever, does this need news? Is there Halloween news? Is that something that happens?
It's Halloween!
Yeah! Back to you in the studio. That's Ross's line. No?
Horror movies on everything.
Exactly. All right, so I guess the
news is on TCM, Dracula is the monster of the month.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Sexy.
Almost done.
Nice.
Which version?
You know, the original version.
Bela Lugosi style? All right.
I was going to say, if it's anything like last year, then they'll show all of them.
Right.
They'll show every Dracula there was ever.
Yeah, they'll hit Christopher Lee and all the other ones, so, yeah.
It's good stuff. Christopher Lee, and there's a Halloween-flavored guy. Awesome.
All right.
Rest in peace, sir. All right, now we get through our top 5 lists for Halloween movies and whatnot. We had an interview with John Kassir. It was done at the Colorado Springs Comic Con here 2017. John, probably most known for his the intro of the show, for his Crypt Keeper voice. But the guy's done a bunch of movies as well, and done other voice acting as well. So, we'll run that after we get through with our cousin discuss about movies. Sound like a thing, Mike?
Yep.
All right. As far as starting, I mean, most of you need to bang out a list of movies, right? So, Ross, what do you got that's a Halloween? Let's do the Halloween-flavored Halloween movies first, because that's harder.
So the ones that take place
the
at
ones
Halloween?
That take place during Halloween.
Oh, man.
You got a suggestion?
So, there's a whole bunch. I'm going to start with Creepshow. I think Creepshow would fall on both those lists.
Yeah, okay.
And Creepshow's kind of cool in that it's like a comic booky movie, too.
It is, because it's got a kid reading a comic book. That would be another third list of comic book flavored Halloween movies.
I think that would be really
tough. That's a lot harder because it's a lot slimmer option. I mean, Trick or Treat would fall in there too.
I thought that would be the first one you would say.
Well, I figured that would come later no matter what, so that's the only one I could think of, though, and he first said that at the start, so.
Okay, so Creepshow's a good one?
Yeah, Creepshow, and the wraparound parts of it, where the kid's reading the horror comics and the dad takes it away, that all takes place at Halloween. You can see jack-o'-lanterns in the windows and stuff, so.
Right.
That's a good one. Craig, you got any ideas?
Oh, well, I can only really think of all the Halloween movies.
Okay, so when it comes to Halloween movies, unfortunately, they all take place one time a year. Technically, they all count, but as far as a selection of movies, better choices, do you count number 1 because it's the original, or do you count number 3 because it's the more Halloween-y? I mean, it's got The Witch. It is the weirdest one, and probably the one people have seen the less of. But
the worst one.
I don't know if I say worst. I mean, it is not the same flavor. I mean,
I like the Season of the Witch because it fulfills the original premise of this being like a trick or treat grab bag
Right.
series, where it was all supposed to be some different anthology. It is very weird, but it's set during Halloween, and it gets away from Michael Myers.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen the very first one.
No?
I don't think I've seen it
Oh,
all.
man.
I think I've seen the first one.
The original Jamie Lee
I
Curtis
think
movie?
if I went with one of the regular Michael Myers ones, I'd probably go with the one with the little girl clown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
Is that number 2 or is that number 4?
Yeah, that's number 4, I think.
Yeah, is this not the daughter, but
It was like a cousin,
Like his
or
niece or something. Yeah.
okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis was only in like three of the movies, right?
Do you count H2O? Because she was in that one too.
That's what I'm counting.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1, 2,
So 1, 2, and H2O.
H2O.
And then she's going to be in the new one.
Yep.
It's supposed to be.
And
Yeah.
she is still nice. I'll keep it.
No, you're good, Mike. You're good. I
Yeah.
think the intention and point was there.
It's all that yogurt, Mike.
It's true. Activia. Wow. So that's something she's selling. So for Halloween,
I go with Season of the Witch to
Okay.
fulfill the Halloween, but if you want distilled Michael Myers, probably with 4.
okay.
Nice.
That's just
Because four's
what I'm going to shoot.
flashbacky, and it's got a little bit of the origin premise, and it's got the sequel with the
And you
lead to
got-
the niece.
And you got Blofeld being in there, wearing the scar, being his character. and
That's
all.
true.
VP.
Yeah.
Badass.
Right?
Okay, so we're saying Halloween 4 being the better choice of the group. Ultimately,
Michael Myers.
For Michael
Michael
Myers.
Halloween
If
3
you're-
for
if
being
you're
more
into Michael
Halloween.
Myers.
Okay, mean more Halloween flavor. Okay, so we're making an official list. The first movie being on there being Creep Show. The second movie falls at Halloween 4?
3.
3. Okay, so the more Halloween-y themed one because it is Halloween themed. Okay, I'm good with that. Mr. Mike, you got any suggestions?
There's a very limited list,
There is.
but
Movies that happen during Halloween that are
talk
Halloween
about-
flavored. Yeah.
Michael Myers
Right.
and origin, you have to go with Rob Zombie's origin.
Ooh. So House of 1,000 Corpses?
No,
Okay.
I
Halloween.
forgot about that.
Halloween.
The first one.
Yeah, but no two Halloweens on the same list. I mean, it is still
I
technically
don't
a
think
thing.
House of 1,000 Corpses happened at Halloween.
Actually, it does.
It
It
does.
did. I forgot all about that until you said that. But yeah,
The first one does.
Well, that's
not
that would
the
be,
Thousand Maniacs, but the House of Thousand Corpses.
That
does.
would be it then. I didn't realize that.
It does. Yeah. Surprisingly enough, it happens during Halloween,
He's talking about doing a Devil's Rejects follow-up.
right? So we might. So yeah, you know,
Yeah, House of 1,000 Corpses was a.
it is a bloody mess.
It is. It's
So okay,
It's unsettling.
that's very true. Okay, I can give you that one. That's a
I
little
think that's
more.
a good one.
It's a pretty bloody and gutty movie, and it is Halloween flavor, and it is a horror movie. So yeah, okay. Might have destroyed Comic-Con in general in San Diego, but whatever. Hollywood's right up the street. They would have got there eventually. Congratulations, Rob Zombie.
Yeah, he's quite the artist too.
Yeah, something in there. All right. Okay, so then as far as like a top 5 list, so far we're what? That's 3 in?
3.
So we got Creep Show, Halloween 3, House of 1,000 Corpses.
Mm.
So now, like, this one's not scary, but it is definitely Halloween themed. We got the Great Pumpkin Charlie Round, which is a Halloween movie, and it's all Halloween, but it's not a horror
Halloween
movie.
until you've seen Great Pumpkin Park.
That's true. So I'm saying that's a winner in there, even though it's not a horror movie.
I think that's a good choice, but I don't know if it classifies as a movie because it's more of a Halloween special on TV.
Still a movie.
I think it's the most sincere movie of
Is
all
it?
the ones that we've chosen.
Okay,
That's true.
I like it then.
Link beginning. I mean, you can't, like, I like to say Ghostbusters, a Sam Hain episode, but it's an episode of the cartoon series, and it is fantastic. For those of us that remember the old Ghostbusters, Sam Hain,
I'll get you, Ghostbusters.
right? I mean, he even got a return at one point, but yeah, as far as, like, an episode, it's a show rather than a special, and even though it's special, technically it's a movie.
It's true.
Written by J. Michael Straczynski, too.
That's crazy, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's crazy.
There's your comic book.
Hey, man.
Oh,
so
I
that's
just
two.
thought of another one.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
The Crow.
Oh,
That's-
yeah. James O'Barr.
The Crow does take place during
Halloween, Hell Night,
does.
or whatever
True.
you called it.
That's
And
right.
It's a comic book.
Fire
That's
it
true.
up. Fire it up.
That's a good one.
Fire it up.
I think our top 5 list is going to mutate into top 6
It
list.
might. It very well might. The Crow is a good one, and it's also comic book flavored. So remember how that idea of comic book flavored Halloween movies that happen on Halloween? Not as hard as you think.
Except for, I think we're going to name the 3 that exist.
Well, I think that was pretty much it. Although the Straczynski connection was not aware of, so that's really good.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do dig that. You got another one there, Ross?
Yeah, well, our number 1 obviously has to be Trick or Treat. That's the
Hang
most
on,
Halloween Halloween movie.
Our treat or trick or treat?
Well, Trick or Treat.
Okay,
movie.
okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Trick or Treat had some horrible acting by Ozzy Osbourne.
They did.
It's true.
They very, very well did.
Oh, I
Although
don't
it
know.
is King of Rock.
Sammy
Ozzy
Kerr, that was his
Osbourne's in
name.
there,
Sammy
so
Kerr,
it automatically
yeah.
makes it the most metal of the choices.
It's true.
Oh, Gene Simmons.
It's true.
is there,
Gene Simmons is in it
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Gene, Ozzy.
Wait, do we have any Kiss Saves Halloween or anything?
I don't think that's
So,
really
okay,
exists.
so there is a Scooby-Doo direct-to-DVD movie where
Yes.
he teams up with Kiss.
That's true.
And it takes place on Halloween, but there's absolutely nothing Halloween-related in the movie, other than them saying once, we're going to do this on Halloween.
Oh, that's
So-
because Ace Frehley's guitar scares away all the rest of Halloween.
Yeah, that makes sense
Wow.
now.
Everyone knows that Halloween is scared by the screech of a guitar.
That and pterodactyls. It's very, very true. Okay, so the top 5 list of Halloween flavored movies that happen at Halloween. And we start with Creep Show, follow that up with the Halloween 3. Then we move on to House of 1,000 Corpses. It gets super brutal.
Right.
And then we dial it back so you can recover with
Either some
The Great Pumpkin,
Ghostbusters
Charlie
or
Brown.
Great Pumpkin.
I'm going to say Great Pumpkin simply because it's more movie-esque. The episode of Halloween of the Ghostbusters is awesome, though, so I'd say it definitely runs a 6th place ranking.
Or if you don't want to watch a cartoon, then The Crow.
Oh, Crow 2. Yeah. Man. Okay, so hang on. So in there, I got confused for a second. So we got Creep Show, Halloween 3, House of 1,000 Corpses, and... Okay, so if you don't want a cartoon, you go with The Crow. If you do want a cartoon and some heart, then it's Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Then the last one would be Trick or Treat.
Which we didn't talk about at all, and talked about all the other options. Other than,
I mean...
What is there to say? It's,
So, you know,
Wow.
tell us a little about Trick or Treat.
so Trick or Treat takes place on Halloween.
Does.
It's one Halloween night. 4? Is it 4 or 5?
5 stories.
5 stories, all connected through Sam, who is a little pumpkin-headed kid that wears a wears like a
Potato sack.
potato bag over his head. Yeah, and all the stories are really cool Halloween-related stories. So, zombie kids coming back, serial killer principal,
Right?
and then crazy clan of werewolf ladies.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then, of course, you have one story at the end that's Sam versus old Mr. Krieg. And Mr. Krieg is basically the Scrooge of Halloween. So,
Which is awesome. He gets his comeuppance, too.
yeah.
It's cool because it's kind of an anthology movie,
Yep.
but you get a whole movie out of it too because all the plots are,
Yeah, the way they interweave and connect together, like it's the way it starts. We start like at the end and then move through it sort of backwards. But yeah, they all connect. By the time we get to the end of it, you're like, oh, this is where we started. Awesome.
hmm
But yeah, as far as like horror story stuff, it's got your werewolves. It's technically got your vampires. It's got your zombies.
Yep.
It's got your witches.
Yep.
Well, one. But nevertheless, little demon creatures.
hmm
So yeah, it's and murder. So it's perfect.
Awesome. And it feels like Halloween the whole time. Like, you're watching it and you're like, I wish this is what my town looked like on Halloween. It's so
It is
good.
pretty decorated. Yeah, it's pretty decorated well. Lots of pumpkins everywhere. Lots of their whole street fair thing. Awesome.
right.
We talked about it being, like, tied into comic books a little bit.
Right.
So the opening credits, they play the opening credits as if it was a comic book. And the first time I saw it, I thought maybe it was a comic that they adapted into a movie. The opening credits are actually, like, concept art and storyboard art all put together to look like a comic book. And as far as tying into comics in general, they made an adaptation of the movie into a comic later, which is pretty good. And then they also did a second set of stories set in the Trick or Treat universe 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and that one's really cool, worth checking out too. So.
Right. Definitely worth a nod.
Yeah, the festival they had was kind of like a Halloween themed Mardi Gras.
Pretty much, yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Heck yeah.
That would be
I
awesome.
don't know where this town is set, but it's pretty dazzling.
Right. Pretty awesome. Well, a couple like other Halloween themed that don't fit the Halloween genre. Just to throw them out there as things. And then we'll go on to like Halloween horror movies. Or movies are good for Halloween because they're horror. Movies of scariness, not the other kind of horror movie. I show you shaking your finger, Ross. You know what I mean? So, E.T. happens during Halloween. Granted, it's not entirely during Halloween, but nevertheless, they have Yoda meet E.T. on the street because the kid's wearing the Halloween costume of Yoda. So, like, it's got a Halloween theme in the middle of it. Space Invaders, if you remember what that is, because it happens during Halloween.
Get me a home.
Right?
Where the
Buffalo
Fuzzy Mugs
Fuzzy
roam.
Mugs roam. Yeah. So, do you remember that whole song? No freaking way.
barely.
Man.
That's reaching back.
So, Space Invaders, Ross, anything?
I've never seen it.
Never, Mike? Maybe there a long time ago. Okay, so Space Invaders is about a batch of aliens that crash on Earth, Martian style, little green men, and during their escapades on Earth, trying to figure out how to get off Earth, it's Halloween, so everyone assumes that they're Halloween costumes. And
Nice.
how awesome they are because they're dressed up as great Halloween costumes.
Right.
It's got like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibe to it, simply because they're like green alien guys and
And they do the invasion of the world's hoax.
War of the Worlds hoax.
And the culminating part is the mighty Farmzoid.
Freaking, it's old and funny. I don't know if it holds up because I haven't seen it in a very long time. But the only real reason the world didn't freak out initially is because they were all thinking their Halloween costumes were just awesome Halloween costumes. Which in my head is hilarious. See, another one like Trick or Treat, which is the other metal one we referenced a second ago. It's a Halloween horror movie about a rock god coming back from hell to kill people. Not great. I did watch it a couple of days ago. It's not bad, but it's dated. Because all the technology in it is very specific for what's happening, and they're relying on tapes and, well, records are fine because records are coming back, but if you're going to play something backwards, the record's a classic way to do it. So, anyhow, I would say it's worth a mention. I don't know if I'd run out and watch it right away. And then Changeling, the 1980s Changeling, which is not the same as the Julia Roberts. No, not Julia Roberts. What's the lady who was married to Brad Pitt for a minute? Angelina Jolie. How did that get me and no one else understand what I'm talking about? Anyway, there was a movie with her recently about her son being replaced by another son. This Changeling movie, the initial one, was about a haunted house. And it was done back in 1980.
You talking about Kim Basinger?
No.
Oh.
The newer one didn't. The new one had. I just said her name. Angelina Jolie, and it's about her son being stolen and replaced with a different son. And granted, there's been some time between A and B, and the police just try to make her believe it's her son, even though she doesn't. It's got conspiracy weirdness. Whereas the original one was about a haunted house, and it's got Seymour Scott. Seymour Scott. I think that's the guy's name. Anyway. It's a pretty good one. The cover, I remember seeing it in the video store back in the day, and the cover is like this creepy old wooden wheelchair covered in cobwebs. Initially, we find that in the attic in the movie, and it is terrifying. But again, now I was a small child when I saw it, so now I probably just think it was a cool cover. So that one I wouldn't run out and chase down either, but Seymour Scott, that's who it is. Seymour Scott is the actor. Awesome actor. Anyway. Okay, so that's enough nonsense about that crap.
I have a couple more.
You got a couple more? Ross, fire away. Yeah.
I've got a couple more. They're like more like kid-related ones. But
okay.
So Monster House, the CGI animated movie from a couple years ago, takes place on Halloween about the lady possessing the house. Yep.
The dies in it. Now, is there enough to do 2 top 5 lists and one that's kid-themed and one that's not?
Oh, I probably have almost 5 on my own.
Go ahead, Ross.
Okay, so you got Monster House, right?
Right.
I would have put in the first Addams Family movie. Actually, maybe even both the Addams Family movies, the 90s ones.
They both happen in Halloween, so technically, yeah.
Both kind of spooky.
Well, they're creepy. I mean, yeah, the Saturn family.
And they're ooky. Mysterious.
And spooky.
Of course, you have all the stuff that they show on the 13 Nights of Halloween stuff on TV, so like Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas, and they're not necessarily my favorite movies ever, but they definitely do take place on Halloween.
Is awesome.
Right. Don't forget Monster Squad.
The Monster Squad, it doesn't have a Halloween. Oh, it does.
Does it really?
By the end of it does.
It might as well.
I want to say that the night they're supposed to know it's not. It doesn't have a Halloween. No, because the night they're dealing with is like a Friday the 13th kind of night. It's not Halloween night. It should.
This very day,
right.
100 years ago.
But it was not Halloween, unfortunately. Go on with your list, Ross.
I think that's my list. I think that's it so far. Yeah.
Okay. That's still pretty good.
I think there's 5 in there, right? Yeah.
Well, we got Monster House. We throw Charlie Brown in there, and we leave Crow in the other list.
Charlie Brown.
So Charlie Brown goes in that list.
I say that goes number 1. Charlie Brown.
So Charlie Brown number 1, Monster House number 2. And
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus.
Probably Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas is a good one, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for me. So that's good.
And then,
man, it's another kid one.
well, I said the Addams Family.
Oh, that's right, Addams Family movies. That's right. I explain how I'm really familiar about this one. It's an Addams Family movie, and being at the back end, 1 or 2 is what we're sure at. Just for it, so. Oh, yeah, that's a good list.
Yeah.
That's a good list. So it shares up the other list and just put the Crow in there instead of Charlie Brown right after House of 1,000 Cricket Corpses.
I don't know. I like that.
You like the dynamic?
Playing those one after another, though.
It is. Well, at the same time, it brings you down just to get to the end. It's good times.
When I remember when I was a kid, I'd try to watch scary stuff like that. And I'd watch something that was like horrifying me as a kid, and then I'd have to follow it up with something like that just to get myself to being okay again.
Like a palate cleanser?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay.
It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. Civil defense machinery has been organized to provide rescue stations with food, shelter, medical treatment, and protection by armed National Guardsmen. Stay tuned to the broadcasting stations in your local area for this list of rescue stations. This list will be repeated throughout our news coverage. Look for the name of the rescue station nearest you and make your way to that location as soon as possible.
I apologize, everyone, for our technical difficulties. We'll go ahead and run that interview with John Kassir. Thanks for listening, guys.
Right. The new meat. You're so welcome. So we start with questions, or do you?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I told these guys that I'm only going to ask questions about Shem and the Three Stooges.
Oh, excellent.
I'm not going to ask any other questions.
That's one near and dear to my heart. I was just talking about that last night because we shot in Australia.
Yeah. Mel Gibson produced that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like that parts of Sydney and the coastline there. It looks like Malibu and L.A. back in the day. In fact, I was talking with Kent McCord, and he was talking about how he had been in Australia. He said he couldn't believe how much it looked like, that part of L.A. back in the day, and the beach areas and the small little areas that were cropping up, outside the city there. But they even had old vaudeville house where we could shoot our vaudeville stuff. But we shot that. Literally flew the day after the Millennium kicked off in Sydney. That's January, February, March. For them is their summer, so it was, great to be in Sydney Harbor. Literally, I looked out my apartment building, that they gave me. It was an awesome apartment. Just there's the Opera House, You know, had a lot of time off on, you know, the QE2s parked out in the harbor, you know, part of the time, and that kind of thing. So that was kind of fun. But what a great opportunity to play a character, you know, that I grew up with. And I mean, as kids, we always loved Curly because he was so childlike, but Shemp was always the one that made me laugh the most. He was always just kind of, he went to such odd places. He was such a strange, neurotic guy. We had access to family members and that kind of thing, which was kind of cool. You know, obviously Michael Chiklis was very good at you know, as playing Curly, and Evan did a great job, and so did Paul. So we were the only actors they brought over from the U.S., and they had a great group of Australian and New Zealand actors playing the other parts. And we just had a great time bringing those characters to life. About halfway through shooting, ABC liked the footage so much they were talking about releasing it as a feature film. And I think, you know, Mel and the other producers were leery of that, because normally if you're going to produce a feature film, they want to be able to market it with, you know, some stars or some history or something. And so they were afraid that it would, you know, be released and not the amount of people that would see it that they expected to see it as a TV movie, which, you know, that's kind of gone to the wayside a lot, except on Lifetime and those kind of channels. There, you know, I used to love those you know, like certain movies, especially some of the biopics. But that was based on a book that was the only authorized biography of the Three Stooges at the time. I don't know if there's more now, but so it was great to have that as our template. I don't know if you know not William Frawley, not from Lucy, Jim Frawley, who was our director. James Frawley, you know, directed the Muppet movie and a bunch of other interesting stuff. He had started out as a Broadway actor back in the day, so he had a real sense of the performer side of these characters, as well as the intimate, you know, personalities of the characters. So it was a lot of fun. I originally auditioned for Curly. You know, if people have seen pictures of me, I mean, not Curly, I'm sorry, Larry. I'm losing my brain. It's early for me. I had all that curly hair, you know, and they go, "Oh, you make a great Larry." You know, I could whine with the best of them. So you know, I came in and they were like, "You know, we got a couple of good choices for Larry, and we can't find our Shemp, and we just think that you'd be great. Would you, you know, do a little thing for us?" So I, you know, got a stringy wig, and you know, it wasn't a very good one, so I put on a cap, you know, with the hair hanging down, and I came in with my best Shemp. And I came in and I, you know, brought the humanity that I thought that the character would have. Did a little research, found out he was kind of a neurotic guy. He was afraid to sleep in hotels because he hated bed bugs. He was afraid of the animals. So we'd have them put up like sheets of glass. They didn't have plexiglass back then, so they put glass between him and the animals because he was, you know, you couldn't see it on camera, but it, you know, made him more comfortable. And, you know, he was an interesting guy. But it was funny because all the women on the set were like, "Oh, you know, like Shemp's kind of like the sexy stooge." I was like, never really thought of him that way. I guess I didn't have the pockmarked face for it, but you know, I was like, I'll take that.
You had some great. I love the dichotomy of you in the boxing scene, and you have the whole scene where the comedy, and then right afterwards the tomato ketchup line, where
right.
You just get, you know, you can see that.
Just a little just a little piece of his not really wanting to be there, and the years of being smacked around by Ted Healy, and you know, a lot of people don't know that Shemp was, you know, he and Mo were the original Stooges prior to the Stooges that we know, because those Stooges, you know, are what we saw on television, which of course were originally two-reelers. You know, they had always hoped to break into the, you know, main features the way that Abbott and Costello were. And, you know, the Stooges' agent was, like, friends with Harry Cohn, so he was, like, working over at 20th Century as well. So they were kind of like, he's like, "No, you know, we'll be the blue plate special." You know, he'd put even the front of our bad movies. That way everybody will come at least see the Stooges and stay for the bad movie, you know. So, you know, they weren't by any stretch of the imagination poor, or, you know, although Larry did have a reputation for spending all his money at the track, you know, women and that kind of thing. I don't think he ever owned a home. But, you know, Mo and Shemp and, you know, I mean, they you know, put their families together, and they had, you know, their families and that kind of thing, but they never really felt like they had that opportunity. Of course, once the they didn't have residuals back then. So once the movies went to television, they didn't see a dime of it. I think they sold like the whole library to CBS or one of the new TV stations for like $12 million, which was a huge amount of money back then. And they didn't see a dime of it, but it launched, a second career for them, being able to go out on the road and perform live for people in their hometowns, which is kind of the way that music is done these days. Like, because everybody lifts music, and the way that music is available to everybody, they don't make so much money on their recordings anymore. So it's just a setup for them to charge a lot of money to go, tour and do music. So conventions have kind of become that for us too. Some of the older shows, some of the, stuff like Tales from the Crypt, which, wind up on Sci-Fi Network and these kind of things, they don't have a lot of residual base to them because the licensing fees aren't that high. But, it's fun to be able to come and see the fans face to face. People are like, well, you don't spend a lot of time on social media. I go, no, I go see the fans. I go spend time with them. I perform for them. I have fun. To me, I come from the theater and I come from doing stand-up. So to me, that's the way to do it. I really enjoy doing that, yeah.
You have a lot of detail around the Three Stooges. Do you approach every project you do like that, or do you really get into the research?
I love the research part of it. Of course, back in the day, you used to have to go to the library or something. Now, of course, I can, Siri, how tall was Shemp? It's like, that kind of thing. So things have changed dramatically, and I love that about, I use the computer more for that kind of thing than anything else. Finding out about different people. You don't always get to play historical characters. And as you get older, they expect you to put more of your own habits and your own kind of personality into your on-camera roles, just because you are more of a character actor. When I was a younger actor, I found myself playing all kinds of wacky characters, but I probably didn't really know myself as well. So I didn't know how to plug as much of myself, or I didn't believe that I was interesting enough. It's like, I'll make the guy honk, and I'll make the guy skip when he walks. I'll do that kind of stuff because that's what I grew up with. Watching the Three Stooges. Obviously, guys like the Coen brothers watched the Three Stooges and had a really good time too.
Ask you about your process when it comes to your voice acting. What is your personal process?
It changes up because sometimes you not only get a script, sometimes you don't get a script even. When I went in an audition to play Miko the raccoon, they're like, come on in, John. I was like, well, I haven't seen the copy. They go, there's no copy. It was a huge room full of storyboards. So we just went around the room bringing to life the little storyboards of the, and I live in an area where there's a bunch of raccoons and stuff. So I'm like, okay, here's a raccoon fighting, here's them fucking, I'm doing like the whole thing, and they're laughing, and I'm like, I've either offended the shit out of them, and I'm not, I think they had given me the job and I didn't know about it for like 6 months, and my agents, nobody told me that I got the part. And they called, they go, well, you're going to start doing the sessions for Pocahontas. I was like, what? I got it? They go, yeah, you had it, got it like months ago. I was like, nobody told me, so that was kind of fun. And obviously, I was just bringing life experience to that, but sometimes you have very specific scripts, you have very specific, you get to see what it looks like. Like for the Crypt Keeper, when I auditioned for the Crypt Keeper, it was at Kevin Yeager's studio, and he was working on the puppet. So the texture and everything that I brought to that character was partially based on what I saw and partially based on the fact that I grew up with the comic books. And I think some of the other actors had no idea what they were auditioning for. They're looking at it going, be careful what you ask for. You may get it. They go, this is terrible. I was like, no, this is Shakespeare to this guy. He loves it, ultimately, when you're doing the comic edge of stuff, you're bringing your own comedy to it. The Crypt Keeper definitely has, my comic timing to it, and that's what I brought to it. But the physical aspects of it are what I had to bring to the character. The beauty of playing voiceover stuff is that I'm not typed out by my age, my race, my physical sense, or even whether I'm human or not, obviously. Doing Pete's Dragon and playing Elliot was not easy, but they thought of me when I came in just because they knew that I did that kind of thing. Each one has to be approached differently, but it's a lot of fun. I get to use skill set that I don't get to use on camera. Of course, the on-camera stuff, I get to use a skill set that I don't get to use off-camera, which is my physicality and my ability to do that kind of thing. But it's a real pleasure because of that. So each one is a whole different thing. I'll get a dozen things to audition for during the week, and you're guessing. The one good thing about these days auditioning is that you get things sent to your home and you record them at home. The one bad thing is you don't have their input right there. You know, to go, this is going to feel more live action, even though it's funny, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like I went in to do Rick and Morty to play Blim Blam, and these guys were really specific about what they wanted. Obviously, they make fun of movies and stuff like that, so they had it really concretely in their mind. And then sometimes it's just you're bringing to it what's not on the page. And that's what I like to think my specialty is bringing to something what's not on the page.
Do you have a specific medium that you prefer, whether doing the video games or doing animation? Or
as far as voiceover?
Yeah.
Well, the animated films are a lot of fun because a lot of times you're in a room with a bunch of people and we're all like picking different voices to do. Like, working for Illumination, we do a lot of additional voices, which is a lot of fun. And people step up and do their version of it, then I step up and do my version of it. Ultimately, doing a cartoon series like Cat Dog or something, you have a room full of some of the best voice talent, and we're just cracking each other up the entire time. And that's just a good time, Yeah. It's a good time.
You kind of freaked out Kevin Yeager originally, didn't you? When you saw it, you did a laugh, and you thought, oh, man.
No, he was like going like this. Like I didn't know whether he was like, like he wasn't getting the sound because he was doing it on a boom box or something, but he was like loving it. And so he was like laughing, but not laughing out loud. And I started laughing, and I was like, oh, it's great. The guy laughs at his own jokes. This is great. Crypt Keeper laughs at his own jokes. And I just built it from there. And it happened in the room the next day. He had me doing it for Joel Silver and Dick Donner in their office, which are two of the biggest movie producers ever. And I was just like, hi, guys, and I did it for them, and they were like, okay, we'll see you on the set. And it was that easy. And sometimes it works that way. Thank you guys very much. These were great questions. I appreciate it.
Do you have a favorite character that you played as far as voice or live action?
Oh, boy. Well, obviously, playing Chimp in the Three Stooges was an awesome one. The Crypt Keeper. The ones that stand out are the ones that I had a great time doing. I love playing Ralph in Reefer Madness. That was just more fun than I could ever say. I got to do that from a small theater in LA to off-Broadway, where we opened 5 days after September 11th, which was not a good experience, but it was a bonding experience for all of us. And then getting to do the movie as well with a great cast. We had 3 months up in Vancouver, shooting and partying and having a good time. It was really, really fun. You don't get to do that stuff much. I've done a lot of stage roles that most people have never got to see because they were on stage and you only got to do them live. Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down was the show that launched my career. I played a stand-up comic with Scott Bakula and a guy named Jerry Colker who wrote the piece. I played a very dark, suicidal comedian that wound up launching my career because Star Search saw me doing the show. And they said, we'd like you to, be on Star Search in the first season of Star Search. I'm like, as what? A singer? They're like, no, as a stand-up comic. I said, well, I'm not really a stand-up comic. And they're like, well, you can win $100,000. I'm like, fuck it. Have you heard about my stand-up that I'm doing? And, beat Rosie O'Donnell in the semifinals. But I kept winning, so I kept having to come up with new stuff. So I would do like The Wizard of Oz in 2 minutes and this kind of stuff. And this is what really started people knowing that I did voices. So it really kind of launched my voiceover career in a way. So I have to say that may be like the premier part that I got to play, It's the thing that took me from off-Broadway and street performing to mainstream television and stand-up comedy and launching me from a, starving theater actor to living in a normal house.
Didn't you do some improv with Robin Williams?
I did. When I used to work at the Improv, anytime Robin would just come in and jump up on stage and, hey, I'm going up, you want to come up? And I was like, he never invited me before, but he was kind of cutting in where my spot was, and Rick Overton, who some of you guys might know is a brilliant comedian, he's like, come on, Johnny, let's go up, and so we went up, and the first night that I went up on stage with him. And he cut into my act when I was street performing in front of the Metropolitan Museum years before, although he wouldn't have known me at all then. I was in whiteface. I used to street perform for the Metropolitan Museum in New York. But I got up on stage, and you have to pretty much had to go in, Robin's vapor. You had to continue in wherever he was going. But we're, Rick and I were, used to keeping our own, had a good time. Then all of a sudden, Charles Flesher jumped on stage, and he started playing the harmonica. He really wasn't like it. And then Bruce Willis jumped up on stage, and it wasn't his thing really. He kind of like kind of sucked the air out of it. I didn't say that. Yes, I did. But no, he was great. He was a lot of fun to play. But Robin was, he was somebody who was so well read and so intelligent, and so he could bring all that. You were always afraid to do your act. I mean, my act was very different than other comedians' acts, but I was afraid to do it in front of Robin because he was probably the only guy who could steal it, But I don't think he ever tried to steal it. I think he just grabbed from wherever it was, We all respected him a lot. He was, the first time I saw Robin Williams on TV, I was like, that guy just took my career. Because that's where I had imagined myself being that guy that's just like, the new vaudevillian, but it was guys like Robin and guys like Bill Irwin and people like that opened the door for me at that time to do the kind of comedy that I love doing. So, I had a lot of gratitude towards those guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, thanks everybody for bearing with us. Thank John again for the interview. Mr. Kassir's fantastic fella. That was an interview done over at the Colorado Springs Comic-Con 2017. Good show. Awesome guy. I want to apologize to everyone else. Unfortunately, it's going to wrap the episode since the one of our microphones has decided to die, and the static is just too much for me to try to fix on the back end of the audio. At this point, there's not anything to be done about it. So, unfortunately, we have our last list, which, hey, make your own list. There's a lot of Halloween movies. They're fun. Anyway, so yeah, that'll be the end of the Halloween special. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. And have a happy Halloween. Be safe out there, people. All right. Tiki.
Ha ha ha!